Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. Guys, Napoli have just drawn 1-1 against the league leaders Inter, and guys, I'm taking a look at the chat and it's not really what I expect, to be honest. There's a lot of disappointment within the chat right now, and guys, to be honest, I don't understand it. I don't understand it because we have come away unbeaten against the team that has won 11 games in a row before coming to play against Napoli. Now, I don't think Napoli has ever done anything even remotely close to something like that. I don't think many teams in history have had a run like that. And here we are, some of us complaining that we come away with a draw against league leaders Inter. So I'm surprised. Obviously, guys, I'm the first that always wants to win. And I do agree that for sure there was an opportunity to win. There was definitely that opportunity, especially going into the second half. We were winning 1-0 at that point. And then we started the second half quite badly. We also took a long time to recover after Inter's 1-1 goal, and Gattuso seemed a bit out of ideas in terms of getting us back on the front foot. In fact, he only took off Osimhen for Mertens, and then the other three subs that he did them in the 90th minute pretty much. So really a lack of ideas from Gattuso in the second half, and a bad approach in the second half. Yeah, that's for sure. You can blame that on him. But yeah, I'm just looking at the chat and surprised that we're not seeing the bigger picture here, guys. The bigger picture was to not lose today. Okay, if there's one team you don't want to lose, or it's okay to just go with the mentality of not losing, it is against the league leaders. So let's actually read some of the comments. So starting off from the very top, ID Beats said, "What was Gattuso thinking? I liked his tactics today and the way we were set up, but we really should have gone for the win in the last 10 minutes. He brings Bakayoko, Hizai, and Elmas." Guys, this is a marathon. As I'm trying to point out, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Okay, if he had brought on more attacking players, which, to be honest, we didn't even have that many on the bench. But if he were to have made more attacking-minded substitutions, Napoli could have seriously conceded. The last 5 minutes, Hakimi was twice through on goal, guys. Hakimi twice through on goal, and it needed Manolas' last-minute intervention. And here we have people thinking that we should have been more attacking. We could barely contain Inter the way we actually were. How gutted would you guys have been if we had actually lost this game trying to win it? And maybe we lose out on a top 4 by 1 or 2 points. Guys, it's a marathon. Milan, Juventus, Atalanta, they have really tough games coming up. They play against each other. They will drop points. The important thing is not to drop massive amount of points ourselves. A draw against Inter is fine. Let's try to win against Lazio. Let's try to win the other 6 games. Those games, I agree, we need to play for the win. But against Inter, they're a strong team. So, you know, guys, let's bring that back into context. Matteo said, disappointed by Deme for fouling Barella. He will miss the Lazio game. Yeah, that's going to be a very, very tough absence for Napoli. EJ Wise is saying, I hope next season manager knows how to actually use Osimhen. It's a shame Rui passes almost always too. All our attacks had to come from the right side originally today. Yeah, guys, with the whole Mario Rui, Hizai thing, I mean, you have a game where Mario Rui plays bad, so then the next one we play Hizai, then Hizai plays bad, so the next one we play Mario Rui, then Mario Rui plays bad, so the next one we play Hizai. Then all of a sudden, Hizai, you play him on the right. It's a mess what we have on the left wing, and I guess on the right wing as well. and that needs to be sorted. In terms of the earlier part of the message saying about the manager for next season, it might still be Gattuso. I doubt it, but it might. And even though there was actually De Laurentiis liked the status on Twitter asking for Gattuso to stay, and then he quickly retracted that but he did do that. And whoever's manager next year, needs to use Osimhen correctly. However, it's all about how the other team plays. If they sit deep, Osimhen has no room to actually use his strengths. And we'll see that in the tactical analysis, guys. Guys, thank you so much for everyone joining. Smash that like button if you haven't done already, because every like and sub, I donate 1 cent to the Fondazione Cannavaro Ferrara, which is helping kids in Naples. So make sure you smash that like button for that. Let's go to some of the more recent comments. Lorenzo Libutti saying Politano, man of the match. Yeah, Politano did everything in the second half. He was not really there in the first half, but what a player. And I'm sure he felt the game quite a lot today playing against his former team. Let's see, what else are you guys saying? Matteo Casale, I never want to see Serie at Napoli. He can make you play good football but won't win anything. That's not necessarily true, because Sarri, since leaving Napoli, he won the Europa League with Chelsea, then won the Scudetto with Juventus. And that Juventus team is basically the same team that is struggling for top 4 this season. So Sarri is not, a coach who hasn't won anything. Having said that, I don't want Sarri back at Napoli. Thank you, Daniel Bowen, for the super chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for being so supportive every time. I hope you liked the video on Tuesday, thanks to one of your earlier super chats. He's saying, Dom, which 2 players will Napoli need more than anyone to have a great finish to secure Champions League football? Which 2 players? I think, I think we need the best Fabian Ruiz and the best Manolas. The other guys, the Koulibaly, Insigne, Politano, if they stay at that level, Zielinski, if they stay at that level, great. I think Fabian is key that he stays at a good level because he's been so good for us lately, and it's part of why we're in such good form. And Manolas, if we can get our center backs to not concede many goals, then I'm sure in the attacking part of the team, we can get 1 or 2 goals every game. If we don't concede, if we keep it solid, Koulibaly is going to stay solid. If Manolas stays solid, then we have a really good chance of winning every single game. But again, if I could add a third player in there, it would be Osimhen. Osimhen needs to finish off more actions. And it'll be interesting to see in the last few games if Osimhen will get the start or if Mertens will get the start. Let's see some of the other comments. Let's see. If anyone thinks this was not a good result, rethink that. Now, if Napoli does win each and every game here on out, they will most surely finish top 4, says Daniel. Yeah, I think mathematically that is the case, just because of the amount of games that the teams above us have against each other, so they will drop points. But guys, make sure you have watched the video that I did on Tuesday about the run-up to the Champions League 4th spot. I said in that video that we need at least 19 points. We got 1 of them today. So we need 18 points out of the remaining 21. That means at most we're allowed 1 bad result. If we get 2 bad results, even 2 draws, I think we're out. So it's tough. It's really tough. I think it's possible. Maybe. But it's definitely going to come down to the very last few games. So it's going to be tough. But again, I didn't expect us to have a make or break against Inter. I think a draw would have always been a positive result, no matter what. Even if we needed, only 1 draw and 7 wins, the draw against Inter would have been a good opportunity to take that draw, just because it's the hardest team we'll face in the next few games. Let's see some of the other comments. The LPRLZ, Manolas was really good. Honestly, I didn't expect that. Manolas, in big games, he usually plays well. He really feels the big games. It's rare that in a big game Manolas messes up, which is why I was so disappointed when Rahmani was chosen over him to play against Juventus, because Manolas, he loves the big games. It's not a coincidence that he scored that header, that famous header with Roma against Barcelona in a Champions League quarterfinal. He loves the big games. He's mentally up for it, doesn't make big mistakes on them. And we'll need him against Lazio. We'll need him at his best against Lazio. It's about the other 6 games. Is Manolas going to be mentally at 100% when we have to play against the Veronas, when we have to play against the Spezias? That's the big question. That's why I said he's a player that we need to keep an eye out for the remainder of the season. Let's see what else we're saying. Big man Dylan, maybe this is a dumb suggestion, but what if we play 4-4-2 and play Mertens and Osimhen together at the top with Politano and Insigne on the wide and Fabian and Zielinski in the mid and this defense? Big man Dylan, that is throwback to Ancelotti style football. I honestly am not a fan of the 4-4-2. I think it's quite static, doesn't allow a lot of movement, and it brings players like Politano and Insigne further away from the field. They have to do more defensive work. So I'm not a big fan of that one. Fabrizio Landria, ciao. Forza Napoli sempre. I liked Fabian and Manolas' performance. Yeah, I think they played extremely well. I loved Manolas, especially in the second half. What a brilliant performance by him. I criticized him a bit in the previous game, but today he was fantastic, solid, saved us quite a few times. And Koulibaly next to him was also quite good. Shmuel M is saying, Verona on the last day is tough. Guys, as I said in my video early on in the week, every game is tough. That's how we have to approach it. I wouldn't be thinking too much, though, about Verona. Let's think about Lazio. That's coming on the weekend. That's a big one. Lazio are just 1 point behind. They've got the motivation themselves to try to beat Napoli, to go ahead of us for that 4th spot, get closer to that 4th spot themselves. They're not completely out of the race. I know I didn't mention them in the video because I didn't want to, make it too long, focusing on teams behind us as well. But they'll be right there as well, trying to get in the top 4. So it's going to be an interesting, tough game, but we need to win that at home. Absolutely. Also because Lazio are going to be attacking. It serves Lazio no purpose drawing that game against us next weekend. Lazio needs to win more than us if they want top 4. So they'll be attacking. It'll be an open game, and for sure, it's going to be interesting. Guys, I think now let's go into, before I go into the player ratings, let's go into analyzing the game, because it just makes more sense to analyze the game and then we go into the player ratings. So let's start. All right. So we've got the first half, and how Napoli in the first half was actually really good defensively in terms of defending up the field. We didn't allow Inter to construct at all. Essentially, in the first half, we had Osimhen, Fabian, Demme, Zielinski marking Eriksen and Brozovic. Politano on the bottom of the screen was quite close to Barella, so it was kind of difficult for Barella to get the ball as well. Insigne on Hakimi, so that, the roadrunner wasn't free. And essentially it only left Bastoni, De Vrij and Skriniar free for Inter, and they had to play with those 4. It was extremely tough for Inter, lots of long balls, and we recovered a lot of possession by having those center backs play the ball and not allowing the midfield of Inter to get anything out of us. In terms of how we played and how Inter defended us, it was a very, very, in the first half, tight Inter half, where there were a lot of players in there. Everybody was man-marked, and Osimhen had two center backs on him at all times. And you could see that Di Lorenzo and Insigne moved to more central positions. This allowed Napoli to just play the ball centrally more, because when you're getting man-marked, the only way to really come out of it is if you play triangles around, in order to play triangles, well, you need more vertices. So Insigne, Di Lorenzo, they had to come centrally, try to play 1-2s, get past that Inter line. It worked sometimes, didn't work every single time, but that's how Gattuso set us out. And to be honest, we had most of the ball, and I thought we were actually playing quite well. Now, the first big chance actually came for Inter, starting off on a counter, and you can see Lukaku, how much of a complete player he is. Not only is he a great finisher, but he's also a great assist man. He plays the ball through to Darmian, who will square it. But take a look at Insigne covering back. He's seeing that Hakimi is making a run, and he sprints to try to cover Hakimi, and he gets there just in time. If I've seen so many players in the position that Insigne was at that just let their man through because they think, oh, Koulibaly is going to get it. Oh, Di Lorenzo's going to get it. Oh, Manolas is going to get it. And they ultimately, no one gets the runner who comes in from the back. And we've conceded a lot of goals in the past through this, but actually this time Insigne was careful, tracked all the way back, and he celebrated as if he scored a goal himself. Then Inter had another really good chance. This one it wasn't a chance that they necessarily, played the ball around to create, but it was a shot from, I think it was Brozovic, that gets deflected by Lukaku, hits the crossbar, and goes up. So at this point, Napoli was kind of on the back foot in terms of chances created, but actually we were dominating possession, we were dominating the ball. But it seemed like every time Inter did get into our half, it was a very dangerous opportunity for them. Let's see what some of the chat is saying. Just imagine that +2 from Sassuolo and +3 from Spezia, we would be sailing into Champions League spots. We lost a lot of points along the way, unfortunately. Big man Dylan, I think Napoli needs to play like Politano, defensively a bit more aggressive. Koulibaly was great 1v1 against Lukaku, excellent positioning to win duels against a faster opponent. Yeah, 100%. I think the center backs played amazing today. And then came Napoli's goal, and actually, I don't have the image of how we got the ball, but Fabian did really well in recovering the ball in midfield. We immediately played the ball through the Inter box. This cross, right? It allows, when Insigne's running at the players like this, and the defenders are running backwards, they hate that. Defenders hate running backwards. It doesn't allow them to. It's very hard for a defender to look at the ball, look at the position of your goalkeeper, and look at the striker that, as Osimhen is correctly doing, is pulling back. They have only got 2 eyes, but they have to look at 3 different things. It's very difficult for them to manage that situation, and that is why ultimately Andanovic saves it, but the defender just runs into him, not really realizing that Andanovic maybe got the ball, he needs to stop, and the ball fumbles into the goal. So it was an own goal for Inter, but what's really, really key is that Napoli was playing quick passes into the box, turning the defenders around, and it's something that's so underestimated. When people talk about dangerous crosses, it's really about what is the position of the defender at the time that you're crossing the ball. If you can get the defender to look at their own goal like Insigne did, like Napoli did, you've always got a chance of something happening. And that's ultimately what happened over there. And then Inter came alive after we scored, and they had a really good chance late in the first half, and Meret did amazing to get down low, beat Barella, and grab the ball. Well, actually, he spilled it, and then Manolas, I think it was, Manolas saved the day on Lukaku, but Meret did great to not foul Barella in that position. And then the second half started, and it just seemed like Napoli wasn't up for it. It seemed like Inter were the better team. Inter were the team that looked like they had more to play for, where actually I think, Inter, they've got the Scudetto in the bag. It was Napoli that should have been pushing a bit more. And it's embarrassing how slow Mario Rui is. Well, not really slow Mario Rui is, but it's crazy how fast Hakimi is. I mean, look at how far away he is from Mario Rui, and then look at how close or how far ahead he gets to Mario Rui. He gains about 7 feet, 2 meters, something like that, and he whips in a very hopeful ball into the box. Now, in this case, you'd think that maybe, Napoli could have done a bit better in terms of clearing the danger. Maybe Meret should have been further out of his line, trying to collect that ball. Because actually, I think my arrow that I drew it far too outward. The cross that came in was actually closer to the little box than what I drew it. So I think Meret maybe should have collected that. The ball runs through anyways, goes to Darmian pulls it back. Manolas gets in the way ahead of Lautaro Martinez. Crucial tackle over there, or interception over there. Unfortunately, it falls to the one guy you don't want the ball to fall to at the edge of the box, Christian Eriksen, and he fires a low effort into the bottom left-hand corner of Meret to make it 1-1. Anthony, what's up, guys? Late to the chat. I thought today was a great game, to be honest. I felt Gattuso is just not in it anymore for us. His head is elsewhere. We looked stale after 60. We could have easily won. The late subs cost us. My reasoning for being upset with Gattuso for this game. That's a really good analysis. You know what? I think Gattuso, I wouldn't say his head's not in it. I thought we approached the game quite well, but it was the second half that I was really disappointed in. But we'll see what I think of it officially in the player ratings. I call it player ratings, but there's player and Gattuso ratings. In the second half, we had chances, guys. We had chances. We had Fabian that was so close to getting his foot onto this cross. And then ultimately, Gattuso made the decision to take off Osimhen because, well, Inter was just not giving Osimhen the space to run into. So he was always marked by two center backs, as I was showing about 5 minutes ago. Same thing happening in the second half, and just no opportunity for him to get the ball behind that Inter line. So Gattuso decides to take him off, put Mertens. Mertens maybe is able to, if there's a loose ball at the edge of the box, he's able to do something more with it than Osimhen would. But actually, the opportunity to get Napoli ahead came with Politano, and you can see how deep Inter are playing. I mean, this is a team that is first in the league, and they play as though, they play as though they're fighting for relegation at times. But fair play if it gives them results. But anyways, they've got 8 players in the box. Napoli had passed it around maybe 6-7 times from left to right. And at that point, you've got Demme, Insigne, and Politano all waiting at the edge of the box, all completely free. And Inter are just happy to just fill in the gaps inside the box instead. Ball falls for Politano. Politano dribbles through some of the Inter players, and with his weaker right foot smashes the ball into the crossbar. He's unlucky not to get a goal from that one, but seeing Inter defend like that, it really means that Napoli was back on the front foot after a shaky 20 minutes in the first half. Let's see what you guys are saying. Subs had bad timing and somewhat not the right subs in my opinion. Man, that yellow by Lozano last game, he could have been the difference in this match. Yeah, Lozano, I think could have been great in this game. The subs, as I said, Gattuso only brought on Mertens pretty much for Osimhen. Maybe he could have taken off Zielinski, put Mertens in front of in that position and kept Osimhen on. But again, guys, we risked at the end of the game conceding so many there was an 86-minute counterattack that Politano had to get a yellow card for because otherwise Inter were through. Then Hakimi was through and Manolas needed to do a perfectly timed tackle in order to stop Hakimi. A few minutes later, in injury time, again, Manolas on Hakimi. Hakimi at this point has only the keeper in front of him. That little box that you see, that is the 6-yard box. And Manolas makes a crucial tackle. So for anyone thinking that we should have played more attacking, maybe the last few minutes of the game prove that actually we were at the right level of defensiveness. In fact, it was actually quite risky. And I think this is a point that is neither gained nor 2 points lost. It's a point that is just, I think, what we needed to get. We're exactly on path. If you had come to me at the start of the morning saying we're gonna get a draw with Inter, I would have been like, yes, that's fine with me. Obviously, I'd like to win, but it's a marathon, guys. It's 7 games, 21 points. We're just 2 behind a top 4 position. It was better to get a point than to risk losing that point for an extra 2. I'm sure Juventus will drop some other points. I'm sure Milan will drop some other points. We'll have our opportunities if we don't screw up the remaining games that we do have, So, yeah. I'm okay with the draw. As Anthony is saying, I'm okay with it. But as he's also saying, with the Lazio, it's a must-win. That for sure. And luckily, guys, we're playing at home. And yeah, I just see it. I just see it being that one a very, very important game. More important than the Inter one. For sure. Now, guys, let's go on to the player ratings. I'm not going to make today's video too long just because it's already quite late here and I've got work in the morning. But let me start off with one player that I think played badly. Mauro Rui, he didn't propose anything going forward. And Hakimi outplayed him an embarrassing amount of times. I thought that it was getting to a point in the second half where it was just embarrassing. It was just embarrassing for Mauro Rui to stay on the field. Then again, we know what Mauro Rui is capable of in terms of, we know his max talent. He's up against Hakimi. He's always going to struggle. But anyways, 5.5 for him. 6.5 to Meret. I thought he came out really well on Barella in the first half, but maybe could have done better in the build-up of Inter's goal. Di Lorenzo, 6.5. Not at fault for Inter's goal, but again, maybe could have done better going forward. I want to see more from Di Lorenzo. I want him to have more assists, have more goals. His stats are just too low. You saw Hakimi and even Darmian getting into such good positions for Inter. I wanted to see that with Di Lorenzo. He didn't do that. I still think, though, that defensively he was quite solid. But the center backs, Koulibaly and Manolas, great performances against tough opposition. Lukaku and Lautaro Martinez are great strikers, and they pulled off some amazing tackles. They pulled off some great interceptions. Koulibaly and Manolas were really on it. Men of the match for me. And then you've got Insigne, Politano. They tried they tried everything they could to get goals for Napoli. It didn't quite work out for them. Politano hit the crossbar. Insigne was instrumental in the first goal, and Insigne gets, that extra point. His attacking display earns him, I think, in my opinion, a 6.5. But that defensive covering he did on Hakimi in the first half, that gained him an extra half point. So he's at a 7. Demme Fabian, great in midfield. Inter's midfield is also one of the best out there. Brozovic, Barella, and Eriksen are a tough client to face, and they did amazing. It was 3 against 2, and they didn't suffer. So congrats to them and Fabian. Zielinski needed to do more. Zielinski needed to get into better positions. He was unlucky in the second half. He had a chance maybe to get a penalty, but I think Skriniar got the ball on him there. Maybe he should have pulled a shot sooner. Zielinski, if there's one thing that's not great about his game, is the fact that maybe he takes that extra touch, whereas it should just be touch, shoot. He maybe tries to do touch, shoot. And that extra touch is what allows defenders sometimes to get in the way. And Osimhen and Mertens get a 6. It was extremely tough for them against Skriniar, De Vrij, Bastoni. It was very difficult for them. Even though they got a 6, guys, though, Osimhen, he showed an improvement to his game in the fact that playing against those two with his back to goal, he wasn't as bad as I thought he could have been. As in, a few games ago, if you had told me he's playing with his back to goal, I would have said he's going to struggle a lot. But actually, he did quite well sometimes. And so, yeah, I see improvements. I do want to see more from him. I do want to see him sometimes being able to turn. So he did well to protect the ball at times, but I do want to see him find a way to turn. If you look at some great strikers like Lukaku or Lautaro Martinez, to name 2 that played against us today, when they had their back against goal, not only did they defend the ball quite well, but they found a way to turn around. When Osimhen learns to do that, when he learns to control the ball and turn on his defender and take a shot or find the right pass, he's going to be a complete player because he's already got the quality to play in the space. He now needs to learn how to turn when there's a very tightly packed defense. So 6 for him, 6 for Mertens, didn't make the impact, and then the 3 subs that we brought on, they came on the last 5 minutes or so. So couldn't make an impact. Let's see some of the comments, guys. Let's see, a lot of comments on the player ratings. Daniel Bowen is saying, I honestly would like to see Mertens play in the wing. He has shown he is capable there. Mertens on the wing is an interesting one. He sometimes, played like that for us a few years ago. He plays like that sometimes for the national team. Yes, it's something that you could do. Normally, you wouldn't need to. Normally, you have Insigne playing there. You have Politano. You have Lozano. There's really no necessity for Mertens to be so far away from goal because he's the best at finding the goal for Napoli, actually. So you want him closer to the goal. So yeah, it's definitely a position he can play in, but I think he's good in that position when you have someone like a Lukaku that in the national team that can actually finish off whatever thing he provides. But Napoli don't really have a finisher right now on the team. Osimhen's not at that level yet, so when Mertens does play, he should be close to the goal or at least central. Sorry. Let's see. Korean Bats. Lazio is, of course, a must-win. We are in a massive trouble if we lose against Lazio. Guys, if we lose a game, then it means that we have to win all 6 games that are remaining after that, but also it requires other teams to lose quite a few points. I mean, I don't want to imagine having the pressure of playing the next 6 games, knowing that you have to win every single one of them. I know that I said, 18 out of 21 points should be okay, it should be enough. But one thing is when, you lose on the second to last or third to last game, and you've got, and leading up to that, you've got in your mind, oh, okay, like I can lose, this game or the next game and it should be fine. And one thing is if you lose straight up, you lose against Lazio and you play the next 6 games thinking in your head, I can't lose any of these games that are coming up. It would be a massive blow for Napoli in terms of approaching the games with a certain level of confidence, a certain level of tranquility. But let's see, guys. Let's see. I think today, though, was a good result, and we'll see what happens with Lazio. I like playing against Lazio. I think it's a team that is not one that closes themselves very much. They're a team that likes to attack. They've got, Immobile, Milinkovic-Savic, very, very good players going forward. Defensively, not great. Benevento scored 2 goals against them today. So there's opportunities there. There's definitely opportunities there. Guys, last bit of the stream. Let's go into the stats and formation just to complete our analysis of this game. So if you guys see here, 12 shots for Napoli, 10 for Inter, but not many on target. Just 2 for Inter, 1 for Napoli. Just the 1 shot on target, just the 1 time. So yeah, it shows that it was tough for the teams to get clean efforts on goal. Very defensive game. When you've got so little shots on target, it shows that a lot of the shots that you do take are from not ideal positions, such as, from wide areas, or maybe they're scruffy shots because a defender's closing in on you, or they're from outside the box. Even though there was a lot of crossbars that count as off-target shots. But yeah, it just shows that, it was a defensive-minded game. And in terms of passes, I mean, Napoli have about 150 more passes than Inter. Shows that we had a lot of possession and a really good pass accuracy, 92%. But you guys know what I think about pass accuracy. I actually don't like it when it's above 90%. It shows that we didn't take enough risks. We didn't do enough vertical passes to try to unlock the defense. So yeah, I don't like it when it's above 90. I like it when it's between 85, 85, 88 is good. As you can see, Inter 88, I thought whenever they did have the ball, they tried to go vertical. You're obviously going to mess up a few more passes, but you're also going to be more dangerous whenever you do try going forward. And yellow cards, I mean, this is where it's a bit crazy for me. 5 for Napoli and 2 for Inter. I find it hard, guys, to believe that we did 12 fouls, Inter did 12 fouls, and we get 5 yellow cards and they get 2. Did we really have worse fouls than Inter? I saw Lautaro Martinez in the first half get away with 4 or 5 different tackles. One on Koulibaly, one on Demme, one on I can't remember who. No yellow card. So, yeah. And again, I think I said this in one of the other videos. I can't remember if the one before Sampdoria. It was Juve Napoli. 0 offsides for Napoli. When you've got a player like Osimhen on the field for 70 minutes, you want that number to be higher. With Sampdoria, when we were pushing and going vertical, we ended that game with a few offsides. We were trying to pick out Osimhen. He was playing on the limit. You're gonna get caught out sometimes because he's no, Pippo Inzaghi that is always just somehow onside. He's gonna get caught out a few times if you play that game. When you end up with 0 offsides, For me, it means you weren't trying enough. You weren't trying to pick out that pass enough. Osimhen wasn't pushing that Inter line as far, on the limit as he could have. So disappointing, that stat over there. So again, it's a bit sometimes counterintuitive. Sometimes people think, a lot of obviously you don't want a lot of offsides, but you want one or two at least. And if we look at the table, guys, you can see here it's tight. It's really, really tight. You've got Lazio on 58 with a game in hand. So actually Lazio, they can, well, I guess mathematically Lazio, if they win their game in hand, they're above us at 61. So it's tough, guys. It's tough. Lazio have won the last 5. Atalanta have won the last 5. Juventus struggling with a bit of form. Won 2 out of the last 5. Milan, they're struggling. They I know they won 3 of the last 5, but against Genoa they really struggled. Napoli, 3 out of the last 5. But we did play against Inter right now, so it's tough. It's anyone's guess, honestly. But the fact that Lazio have a game in hand, I didn't realize that till now, actually. So it just makes Lazio even more a must-win. And to be honest, I take back what I said about Lazio needing to come to Napoli to get a win and playing attacking football, because I thought that they were behind us level on games. So that, they had to win to try to get above us. But to be honest, Lazio can get away with a draw and they would still be only, they would still be within a fight for that Champions League spot. If they win their game in hand, they draw away at Napoli, that's not a bad result for Lazio. They would still be within touching distance of Juventus. So, it's tough, guys. It's tough. I don't know how to call it. I'm just thankful that Roma have had a poor run of games. As you can see there, they lost 3 out of their last 5. They only won 1 in their last 5 because Roma were sitting comfortably in 3rd up until a few weeks ago. And can you imagine if there was Roma involved in that as well? So thankfully that's not the case. But yeah, it's gonna be difficult. There's some big games though happening. There is Roma-Atalanta. Speaking of Roma, Atalanta going away to Roma, that's not easy because Roma are a good team at home, having said all what we said about Roma. Lazio-Napoli, as we said, and then the next weekend after that, there's Lazio-Milan, there's Fiorentina-Juve, which doesn't need to be underestimated, and then we've got, at the end, the last 4 weeks is crazy. You've still got Juve-Milan, Juve-Inter, Atalanta-Milan, so lots of opportunities to gain points, but yeah, the Lazio one is crucial. That's the one we need to win, really. It's imperative that we do. Anyways, guys, on that very intense analysis of the game and the table and how screwed we are if we don't beat Lazio, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for joining. Make sure that you've smashed that like button if you like the video. If you want Napoli to reach the top 4, it helps if you smash that like button. It's the players are going to feel that support from you guys if you do. Anyways, that's it from me. Let's see some of the last few comments on here. Sal Di Brita, need to see more passes over the top, looking for those runs in behind. Yes, I 100% agree. Matteo Casale, the way Inter defend doesn't allow guys like Osimhen to really get behind them. Yeah, that's why Osimhen was taken off instead of Meret and put on, and Gattuso put on Mertens. And guys, damn, I need a haircut, by the way. So might have a haircut for the next video. Anyways, Matteo Casale saying Torino aren't a pushover though. They slapped Roma. Did they? what happened with that Torino-Roma game? I actually don't know what happened there. Did Roma lose? The last. Oh yeah, they did 3-1. That's where that loss came from, because I saw that Roma scored a really early goal, and then I started watching the F1. So yeah, Torino. Well, that's a good result for Torino. They'll want to save themselves, and it won't be easy playing against them. Luckily, we don't have them right away, right off the back of that Roma win. But yeah, Lozano will be back for Lazio. Sal is saying we need to use our speed against them. That will help us definitely. Lozano was not playing because of an injury. Sorry, not an injury, but because he was suspended through an accumulation of yellow cards. He'll be fully fit to play against Lazio. And so yeah, lots of things to look forward to. And guys, I'll wrap this up here. You guys are saying Forza Napoli sempre. I'll say that as well. Forza Napoli sempre, guys. Have a great rest of the week, and see you against Lazio. And as always, Forza Napoli sempre.